Darrell Waltrip running in first and second. Let's see if they will come in for a pit stop this time. They will not. Benny Parsons, however, is in for a stop. So is Richard Petty.
Yes. Throwback racing. Oldies but goodies. Before my time, but this is what you got to watch. This is history. This was NASCAR before it became cool.
Dale Earnhardt did not need a lap. That guy right there is the deep red number 25 car, the Harry Hyde Ranch Tim Richmond driven machine, owned by Rick Hendrick. He led the last lap.
Cale Yarborough is also in for a pit stop. Here's Jack. And Waltrip pulls alongside of Tim Richmond, and that was close. I'm not sure whether Darrell will get credit for leading that lap or not, but it was really close.
Hard to say. He may be going to put the period on that story this lap. He continues his run down on the bottom side of Tim Richmond. Now he's going to try and hold him back through the west turn. Remember, if Waltrip leads this lap, he picks up 5 points. Those are 5 points that so far Earnhardt has not been able to accomplish. Now Richmond will give it all he has. No, he's just a little squirrely coming out of four. No chance to catch. Question after the last lap, there is no question. It's an exclamation point after lap number 66. Waltrip leads.
Terry Labonte is making a pit stop. This is next to the last race with this team, as he will be moving to the Junior Johnson crew next year. The Piedmont Airlines Oldsmobile moves back out onto the pit area. Look who's running in third position. It's Harry Gant. He is right there with Tim Richmond and Darrell Waltrip. Waltrip will be pitting. Let's see if Tim Richmond does. Yes, Richmond will pit also. Harry Gant comes around and will lead this lap.
Waltrip accomplished what he needed to do. He got his leading lap in, so now it's time to pit, and Jack Caruth is there to follow the action in the pits.
Darrell Waltrip cautiously approaches the signboard held by Junior Johnson. They come across the wall, going to the right side. There's Tim Richmond directly behind him, and they'll both go on action here with Darrell Waltrip up on top, Tim Richmond on the bottom. Now, one team has gone for left side tires. That was Richmond. Waltrip went for right side tires, but they are both off and away in a very quick series of stops.
Back out onto the racetrack, Darrell Waltrip and Tim Richmond. The lead being held now by Harry Gant, but he will have to have a pit stop very, very shortly. One of the others who was running up in the top five, Morgan Shepherd, is going to come in for a pit stop as we continue to watch Darrell Waltrip gain momentum and build back to speed. There is Harry Gant and Phil Elliott running together on the racetrack, and Gant showing no sign of making a pit stop yet.
You can see Richmond in front of Elliott. Now, both of them have made their pit stops. Richmond gets out in front of Elliott, as does Darrell Waltrip. So, depending upon what happens after Harry Gant comes in, and looking for Dale Earnhardt, finding out his relative position, I think that Earnhardt is relatively ahead of Darrell Waltrip. So, when Gant comes in, we'll find out. Here comes Bodine in. Earnhardt may find himself in the lead.
Jeff Bodine has brought the car in, going to work on the right side. They're going to exchange the Goodyears there and take on 22 gallons of fuel. Kind of interesting to note, the new front tire changer is Eddie Dickerson, who left the Hardee's Rainier Racing team to go to work for the new team being fielded by Waddell Wilson and Darrell Waltrip. But he's working today. He got Bodine in and out very quickly.
The first series of pit stops being made here by the leaders. Jeff Bodine moves back out there. 70 laps have been completed. Still no pit stop by the leader of this race, Harry Gant. Bodine building up speed down the backstretch. There is Harry Gant, completing lap number 71. He leads the Atlanta Journal 500 from Atlanta International Raceway. Back with more after these messages.
Almost done. I work from home, so bundling Spectrum, internet, and TV has been super important for our family.
My favorite thing is just the connection that we have to have. I do online workouts, I also do remote programming, and so I need to stay connected to make sure I'm providing a quality service.
To be able to save money and also have reliable service, it's a win. Our bills have been affordable, can't complain.
Fast, reliable internet starting at $30 a month, backed by the Spectrum commitment to keep you connected.
You want me to come weekend? Okay. Okay.
Good thing Dash Pass saves you money on DoorDash, so you can skip the trip to the grocery store and focus on what really needs saving. Your sanity. With savings on groceries, you can afford to give yourself a pass. Dash Pass by DoorDash. Your door to more savings.
Each week, discover the stories, the races, and the people that made the 21 legendary.
Oh, my goodness.
It's going to be a photo finish. It's Wood Brothers Wednesday, all summer, only on the NASCAR channel. The average speed after 75 laps here in Atlanta, 150.174 miles an hour. And Harry Gant is the leader of this race. He'll lead a pit stop probably in about 10 laps. Now, that's Bill Elliott running right ahead of him. And Elliott is on the lead lap, but a lap behind, almost a lap behind. Now, Harry Gant did come in for a pit stop during that first caution period early in the race. That's the reason he's not had a pit stop here in the last few laps. There is Kyle Petty running alongside Alan Kulwicki.
A couple of the Thunderbirds, Tender Bears, and all, by the way, there were 9 Ford Thunderbirds that were in this race. Chevy by far and away led with Dale Earnhardt, of course, one of the standard bearers for Chevy. There were 18 Chevrolet cars that qualified for today's race, 6 Pontiacs, 6 Oldsmobiles, Earnhardt currently running in 4th, and just 3 Buicks. So Chevrolet, who has dominated the last half of the season, dominated at least the start of today's race.
We're watching 5th and 6th position being contested here as Kyle Petty has that 5th spot at the moment and Kulwicki in 6th.
Both of these people, Bob, are guys who stopped there at that caution flag on like lap 16. So they are at least a half a step behind in the pit stops.
Let's go down to Jackaroo once again.
Well, the activity is beginning to pick up here in Harry Gant's pit. Travis Carter talking to Harry lap after lap on the radio. They have, as you said, they pinned during that early caution. Also, they get very good fuel consumption. They had that onboard fuel metering system, and they really were the team that pioneered the use of it here in Winston Cup competition. So they're about ready, but I think the one thing that we'll watch on the pit stop will be the chassis adjustment. They've already made a determination that their car is a tad loose, and they're going to make the adjustment during this stop.
They'll be watching for that in just a very few laps as Harry Gant will be coming in for another pit stop. There is Rusty Wallace in for another stop. He was one of those who made a stop in that early caution period on lap number 16, and now makes his second stop of the afternoon.
Exiting going around Jimmy Beam, there's one of the new American cars, but I couldn't see the number either, Bobby Hillen or Bobby Allison. There goes Joe Gutman, streaming around the outside of Rusty Wallace as he works his way back up the speed down the back stretch here in Atlanta. Comes down into the 24-degree banking in turn number 3. The camera points down. You see that darker pavement on the left side? That's basically flat. You need to stay out of that. It's an escape route. It's a place to go if you're in trouble, but not a place to go if you're running in full zone.
Harry Gant slowing down in turn number 3, at least he was momentarily, but decides to stay out for one more lap. You know, that shot there from the in-car camera of Rusty Wallace also gives you a good idea of how limited visibility is in the corner. You can only see just a few hundred yards, or even less than that, ahead of you while you're in that 24-degree banking.
You know, Bob, back in the early days of racing, back in the early 1950s, we had a half-mile racetrack shaped sort of like this in Toledo, Ohio. The guys actually used to drill a hole about a foot square right above the left front door, the left front side of the front window, to be able to look out when they raced on high bank tracks.
Harry Gant is coming in for the stop, and Jackaroo is right there to call it for us.
Dan has to get out the binders very, very hard because he's at the tail end of pit road, closer to turn 4 than, of course, to turn 1. The grip goes to work. They're taking on right side tires. That's all they'll take. The crew is also making a chassis adjustment to the right rear of the car. Looked like it was adding some weight to accommodate. Dan wants to get away. He's gone. But almost collides with Joe Ruttman, but makes it by.
Yeah, Joe made a nice move there. He saw Harry coming up, and he braked heavily to allow Harry to go to the inside before Joe Ruttman moved to his assigned pit area. Ruttman in that Quaker State car getting service.
One of Joe's last rides, of course, with the Kenny Bernstein Quaker State car. There's still a lot of rumors floating around about Joe possibly getting connected to the tour. Joe says he definitely will be back in 1987. He's a guy that I feel is certainly one of the finest and swiftest NASCAR racers who's ever won a main event.
Back up in the lead now is Dale Earnhardt. So both Earnhardt and Darrell Waltrip have picked up their 5 points for leading a lap. Here is the near collision. Watch Harry Gant come from the inside. There he is. Joe Ruttman braking heavily, allowing Harry to go by, and then Joe diving to the pit area.
So screen is unlucky. Those days are past.
There is Dale Earnhardt on the outside of the number 90 car driven by Ken Schrader, former Rookie of the Year in the Winston Cup Division. Ken now living in Concord, North Carolina, after making his home in Fenton, Missouri for many, many years. And just ahead of our leader is our in-car camera.
Looking back onto the leader, Dale Earnhardt, in the Wrangler machine, the Kodak car, taking a look at it as Dale drops to the inside of Rick, trying to get the corner, and Rick says, no, I'm not fighting this lap. He moves up ever so slightly to give Dale the advantage. Dale goes by on the inside. Kenny Schrader, who, by the way, will be back with Unique Dunlopy next year, is right behind him. Now, here's what it looks like from Rick Wilson's point of view. Now, here's what Rick Wilson looks like to all of you. And now
Darrell Waltrip is in trouble. Waltrip in trouble. This could mean the championship for Darrell. A big puff of smoke from that car. He's pulling directly into the pit area. This could be the season right here for Waltrip and give Dale Earnhardt the championship.
A historic moment in more ways than one. There is Dale Earnhardt continuing to reverse this 1.5 mile racetrack. This historically just has not happened to Darrell Waltrip. You heard him say at the top of the show, I got this gut feeling. I got a feeling it's going to happen. Things look perfect for 85 laps of this 325 lap, 328 lap race as Darrell Waltrip was running up near the front. This has not been a good racetrack to him, but things have happened well for him in the last part of the season. There is the car owner, Richard Childress, trying to hold back his enthusiasm as he watches his driver right there. Same view that he sees as it comes down the front stretch. Dale Earnhardt.
Although Dale has to be happy with the fact that it's now smooth sailing more or less, I'm sure that he would rather have Darrell Waltrip on the racetrack running side by side with him, because that is the way that a Winston Cup championship is won, not with one of the competitors in the pit area.
If Waltrip stays in that race, in that pit too long, Dale won't even have to show up in Riverside. We commented at the beginning of the show that if he gains 5 points today, all he has to do is start Riverside. That may not even be a necessity now.
Well, if indeed Darrell is out of the race, he'll finish 39th, and there is Rick Wilson, and you can see the physical punishment that a driver goes through when he's traversing this 1.5 mile racetrack here in Atlanta. The body is bouncing around, the neck has to be leaning toward the outside of the car when the machine is in the turns, and a lot of physical punishment that a driver must go through under situations like this.
Small crack has developed in the lower right-hand corner of Rick Wilson's race car. As we see the view that Rick sees. Looking out the window, there's Tim Richmond on the inside of Rick Wilson. They come down the front stretch.
Tim Richmond now pulling ahead of Rick Wilson as they move into the corner, turn number 1.
Harry Gant following through down the backstretch. The change in speeds from corner to straightaway here in Atlanta is not nearly as great as it is on many other racetracks, particularly the shorter, let's say, less than 2 mile speedways. Because the turns are so long here, the straightaway is so relatively short, you keep a constant speed. The top speed is probably in the vicinity of the low 180s, where they reach right there before shutting off, slowing down to maybe the high 160s. Going into the turns here, there you can see Gant and Richmond leading as Rick Wilson running in the top 20, but not on the same pace as the top 5 or 10 cars.
We are watching Rick Wilson inside his car, and right ahead of him is the battle for second position between Tim Richmond and Harry Gant. We'll be right back.
This baby hits 88 miles per hour. You're going to see some serious...
Still taking my shot to the
Splash is delicious.
It's better than finding that 6th nugget in your 5-piece. And you go up to the guy and he's like, "That's for you, you sexy mama."
It's exactly like that. Splash Refresher and Splash Refresher Sparkling.
0 sugar, 0 calories. It's like water,
but good.
Since 1983, Nissan has been assembling award-winning vehicles for you right here in America. And now we've lowered MSRP on our best-selling Rogue and Pathfinder.
Get 0% APR for 60 months on Rogue or Pathfinder.
Remember when drinking plain water was like the only option?
Splash is freaking delicious.
It's like when you meow at a stray cat and it meows back.
So cute.
Splash Refresher and Splash Refresher Sparkling.
0 sugar, 0 calories. It's like water,
but good. GoodRx helps my family get the medications we need at an affordable price.
I love GoodRx because it has saved my dog's life. They'll say, here are the prices for this at this place and this place and this place, and you go pick the lowest one. If you are in a situation where your pet needs medication, you should absolutely check out GoodRx.
At University of Maryland Global Campus, every week you learn something new and you can immediately just jump right in and use those skills. Because of my degree from UMGC, I feel confident. I have the background when I walk into.
Each week, discover the stories, the races, and the people that made the 21 legendary.
Oh my goodness.
It's going to be a photo finish. It's Wood Brothers Wednesday, all summer, only on the NASCAR channel.
Dale Earnhardt leads the Atlanta Journal 500 after 93 of 328 laps. In second is Tim Richmond, third Harry Gant, fourth Bill Elliott, and fifth is Cale Yarborough.
Bob, it's been almost a decade since somebody was able to clinch the Winston Cup Championship without racing in the final event of the season. Dale Earnhardt right now might be on the precipice of that. Darrell Waltrip has pulled behind the pit wall. The cars in the garage here, you know, the Winston Cup crews, they are magicians at putting together machines after something happens during the conduct of a race. Now, if it was a completely blown engine, it might be terminal. But if it was anything less than that, Waltrip might still be back out into this event. And should Earnhardt drop out, we are still well less than a third of the way into this event. Waltrip might still have a chance if Earnhardt squirms a little bit through forward.
Let's find out what the problem is in the Waltrip pit with Jackaroo.
Darrell, 3 Winston Cup championships. There won't be a 4th this year. What happened?
Well, these engine problems have been our demise this year, and so unfortunate. I could have won this race, and I might have could have won this championship, but we'll never know, will we?
And yet you've always brought a new sort of class to your Winston Cup championships. When you won the first one in '81, it went to New York City, and you really wowed everybody. Don't you think it's really been that you have been able to score your signature to Winston Cup racing in the last 4, 5, 6 years?
Well, everybody's pitched in, Jackie. It's what I always wanted when I came into the sport, was to be on Madison Avenue, Wall Street, all those places that all of us have liked to be, and I think NASCAR is there now. I think I've helped a little bit, and I just thank the Lord that even though we had a little trouble today, that I rolled on in the garage and I get out of that thing one more time.
I can tell you guys, because I spent many a year with Darrell Waltrip, When you write champion in the dictionary, put his picture next to it.
A fine individual and an unfortunate situation here at Atlanta International Raceway today as Darrell Waltrip has dropped out of the race and loses the Winston Cup Championship. Both Richmond and Harry Gant have passed Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt knows, of course, that Waltrip is out of the race. I would say that he is probably not taking it easy at this point, but he has allowed Tim Richmond and Harry Gant to pass him.
Officially, it's the word 22nd or better to clinch the championship, but in reality, he really has to survive like 2 or 3 more cars dropping out of this race. 25th or better, to be exact, at this point in the contest for Earnhardt to clinch the points championship.
Again, Waltrip will unofficially finish 39th as 3 cars dropped out prior to Waltrip's demise, namely Ron Bouchard, H.B. Bailey, and Tom Bigelow. And since Waltrip dropped out, Jeff Bodine has gone behind the wall, but they're still working on that car, and Jeff may be able to get back into this battle. Now there is the 3rd place, Dale Earnhardt, number 3 Wrangler car. And Jack Arute is with Jeff Bodine. We'll find out what's wrong there, Jeff.
Jeffrey, I know this isn't where you want to be. What's the problem?
Something broke inside the engine. It's apparently a piston or piston ring. It's really hard to speculate, but it isn't on top. It isn't a rocker arm or a push rod, so it's got to be down inside.
How does a driver tell the difference from the engine sound? Can you really diagnose it that good coming in here?
Not very often. I thought we dropped the valve, but they say all the valves are there. It's really hard to tell. Going in the 3rd quarter, the thing smoked. I saw the smoke come out from under the hood, and it started missing. That's usually a valve or a piston.
Well, one thing, he doesn't want to leave quite yet. He's still cinched up and ready to go if they can solve the problem or at least remedy it as you take a look at Kathy Bodine.
Well, a 2-time winner this year on the Winston Cup Trail. He started off the year with the victory at the Daytona 500 and followed up with a win at Dover. But Jeff Bodine having problems here at Atlanta. This is turning into an excellent race as Harry Gant is just showing some great speed and determination out there this afternoon.
He's really occupying Tim Richmond's mind and eyes, too, as we watch him cruise by going down the backstretch. You saw Richmond kind of skimming out of turn 4 the last time. Let's see if he can hold on to it just a little tighter this time around. Tim, so hard to tell in these long corners, high bag. And Tim once again swerving back and forth. Richmond and his teammate Bodine have been the kingpins of the front row and in the pole position so far this year. Bodine leads with the most number of Busch Beer poles, 8. Tim Richmond has 7, the most wins, of course. Bill Elliott picked up his 4th this weekend here in Atlanta. And Harry Gant, who's right now looking toward the inside of Richmond, but not quite. He's been on the pole twice. Will Harry get around? Oh, I think so. He's itching. He's tugging, pulling as hard as he can. It's like tug of war down there at the bottom. Harry Gant looking to lead the lap, coming down the front stretch. No, Richmond pulls it out.
They led by about a half a car length or less. Tim Richmond gets credit for leading that 110th lap, but Harry Gant was right there at his side. Now Gant is going to try it again as they come out of the 2nd turn and go down the backstretch. Gant pulling alongside of Tim, side by side. Now Gant with a slight advantage into turn 3, but Richmond will have nothing to do with that. Still side by side, both cars a little bit squirrely in turn number 3. Gant has the advantage as they come off of the 4th quarter. Let's see if he can lead this lap. No, it's just about the same story as last lap.
Bob, if Gant is going to get him, he's got to get him on the run into 3 because Richmond is holding the RPMs up much better on the 2nd or middle lane coming out of turn number 4. So if Harry's going to lead the lap, he's got to get it right now. He's got to get about a half a car length in the next 100 yards, 200 yards. It's not going to be enough.
Great Winston Cup racing here in Atlanta on the high banks. Once again, we see Harry Gant pull slightly ahead in the 4th turn, but as they come off the 4th turn, Richmond has the momentum. And I don't know, I think maybe Harry got him.
Tim slid just a little bit, just at his exit from turn 4, and that might have been enough to allow him the edge. We'll check the official scoring and see exactly who was the leader of that last lap. Seldomly call these lap leaders again. Hey, Paul Gant's going to try it again. He has, no, not quite. Not have a power line that time again. Entering turn 3.
Harry Gant was given credit for leading that last lap. So Gant picks up 5 points as far as his total is concerned. And a little bit slowly again coming off that fourth corner. But boy, this is just great racing as Richmond and Gant are going at it tooth and nail. Well, Tim Richmond, you certainly can't accuse him of pampering a car. He drives it for all it's worth. We asked him earlier the weekend about his driving style.
Looks when we watch him out there, a fellow like you and maybe Dale Earnhardt really get wired up between yourself and the race car itself. It looks like there's such a direct connection that you guys can really run by the seat of your britches more than some of your counterparts.
Well, I think that's one of Dale's special qualities is that, you've got to be able to, when the car's handling goes away for whatever reason, you've got to be able to maintain the speeds that you had when you had a good handling car or close to it. And a lot of guys out there, they only take what the car will give them. The car will only go so fast, and that's all they take. But I think Earnhardt and myself and a few other ones, we make the car give us more than what it wants to. And not all the time, but we do have the capabilities to hang it out when we need to keep up or to pull away if we possibly can.
Wow, I still feel that it's a very
Tim Richmond.
athletic ability that Tim and Dale just mentioned. Neil Bonnet and Darrell Waltrip have shown over the years their best ability from an athletic standpoint. That ability to have the
Tim Richmond.
or to step over the line quite a distance and pull it back. And remember that both Tim Richmond and Darrell Waltrip were outstanding high school athletes. Richmond used to run the 100-yard dash. He was also a pretty slippery football player. He ended up leaving the high school football team because he didn't get along well with the coach. And Waltrip, if memory serves me correctly, he used to hold a half mile.
Hey, Tyson.
All right, Tim Richmond and Harry Gant are first and second. Third is Dale Earnhardt. Fourth is Bill Elliott. And fifth is Cale Yarborough. Sixth, Richard Petty. Seventh, Neil Bonnet. Eighth is Benny Parsons. Ninth, Morgan Shepherd. And 10th is Buddy Baker. In 11th position, one lap down, is the number 26 car driven by Joe Ruttman. And in 12th position, also a lap down, is Terry Lamaki. We're live from Atlanta International Raceway. We'll be right back.
You know what they say. You get out, what you put in. I'm 2 steps ahead of being a step ahead. New game, same dedication. No ads, ever. I don't even need Wi-Fi. This is the game. It is.
What if I told you the next great hybrid technology wasn't for a new car or computer chip, but it was for
The best ribeye every time. Hexlad's hybrid cookware gives you the performance of stainless steel, the durability of cast iron, and the convenience of non-stick. Welcome to the hybrid revolution. Welcome to Hexlad.
Make a move. I dare
With Ring, you can protect your home from anywhere.
Each week, discover the stories, the races, and the people that made the 21 legendary.
Oh my goodness.
It's going to be a photo finish. It's Wood Brothers Wednesday, all summer, only on the NASCAR channel.
At the moment, it is Tim Richmond and Harry Gant running in first and second position. And again, to tell you, if you're just joining us, that Darrell Waltrip has already dropped out of the race. A blown engine has put him on the sidelines, and he unofficially finishes in 39th. Here is Bill Elliott, who was the pole sitter, led the early going of this race, coming in for his second pit stop of the afternoon. They're changing the rubber on the left side of that car. Bill was running in fourth position when he came in for the stop.
Well, they stretched it 62 laps, remembering it was too far. 62 laps the first time, so they went less than that this time.
Let's go to Jackaroo.
So Cale Yarborough's come onto the pits, and he's taking on fuel and left side tires. Remember, he took the right sides the last time? A little bit longer than hoped for because of having to add the fuel, but he's off and away.
These pit stops being made under green once again. We have only had one caution period in this race. That occurred on the 16th lap, and it was because of a couple of cars spinning down in turn number 4, Connie Saylor and Mike Laws. But the caution was only out for 2 laps, and we have been green since that time. Thus, the average speed of the race is well above the record, 152.162 miles an hour. That's after 120 laps.
Repeating something we mentioned a little earlier, Yarborough, as we look at him, remember the last winless season that he had was back in 1972 when he was a regular on the Indianapolis car trail, driving for Gene White, when he won no races after having competed only in 5. He has not won yet this year.
Dale Earnhardt in third position comes in for his second stop of the afternoon. Bobby Hiller Jr. is also in for a pit stop. The number 91 car of David Sosby also making a stop. Let's watch the action of the Richard Childress crew going to work on that Wrangler Jeans machine. Again, left side rubber. And fuel, of course, being pumped in.
You can't say the pressure is off because it seems like that Kirk Chumberdy, the crew chief, Richard Childress, and the owner, Dale Earnhardt, haven't demonstrated any folding at all to pressure. 15.8 seconds on that pit stop, but with Darrell Waltrip dropping out of this race, it certainly puts a whole new complexion on it.
Good pit stop for Dale, 15.8 seconds. Now he comes back in. Tim Richmond and Harry Gant have not made their stops. There they are on the track. And remember, Harry Gant is off of the pace, so to speak, as far as pit stops are concerned, because he has already made 2 stops. He came in on that first yellow. Here's Benny Parsons coming into the Copenhagen Oldsmobile. Benny was running 7. Right side tires on the Copenhagen machine. Benny, of course, helped us here in the broadcast booth yesterday on the ARCA race. He started this afternoon in 7th position, qualifying at 171.241 miles an hour. He's taking rubber on both sides, all around.
Long pit stop and stretched well past 20 seconds. You can see 25, 26, 27 seconds. And look at this, side by side, it's another Richmond. By the way, Bob, talking about Tim Richmond leading these laps, if Tim Richmond wins this race and leads the most laps, he will go past Darrell Waltrip for second in the battle for the Winston Cup point. How about that? If he leads the most laps. And by the way, talking about Waltrip, he will be here the next 2 days testing the 1987 Tide wheel.
Well, Harry Gant trying desperately to grab that lead from Tim Richmond, but has just not been able to do so. These cars are obviously equally prepared. There they are, side by side across the line, side by side going into turn number 1. Now Tim with the advantage into that corner, but just some great side by side and wheel to wheel racing. Here is Cale Yarborough, whose Ford is working well and racing with Richard Petty. Once again, we see Harry Gant edging ahead going into the third turn, but just not able to take over and hold on to that top spot.
Richmond slide a little more than usual. Harry's going to get him this time. The colors of Christmas. It's red and green. It's Christmas about a month and a half early. Christmas in early November in Atlanta.
And now out in front, but Richmond not letting Harry get too far ahead. There is Bobby Allison getting some fresh rubber on the right side of that car and some more fuel. Now they go around and will make a tire change on the left side of the car.
Bobby E. Hudson, the crew chief of Bobby Allison's car. It's a team that Allison's basically put together here in the midst of the 1986 season, and they've had a good one. They won a big race in Talladega earlier.
Richard Petty also comes in. He was racing there with Cale, but comes in for a stop. He was third before he came in, so it's a pretty good race for Richard Petty, the king.
He has had a good day, as you can see. 21,000 miles here in Atlanta, easily hitting all drivers. Actually, Atlanta has been one of the better super speedways for Richard in his long career. He's done well here in Detroit and Atlanta. And as we saw earlier in the race, he was showing some speed, running comfortably in the top 10.
There's the leader, Harry Gant from Taylorsville, North Carolina. In second position is Tim Richmond. Third now belongs to Dale Earnhardt, and fourth is Bill Elliott. And there you can see Dale Earnhardt.
Earnhardt, perhaps moments or minutes away from officially being declared as the 86 champion, is Tim Richmond, who has set the pace near the front of this race. Comes in for a pit stop. Here's Jack.
Harry Hyde and crew are waiting for the arrival of Tim Richmond here on pit road. We spoke to Harry just moments ago and asked him if he would be making any chassis adjustments because the car was looking loose. He said no, we're just going to put the tires on, keep the stagger as best as we've had it. They go to right side tires. Now Harry is spraying something in the carburetor trying to get the car to fire again. It does, it stalls again, 14.8 seconds, kind of an important run out of the pits. He's still not up to speed. This is costly.
Now the car finally fires and Tim accelerating away, but although he was only stopped for about 15 seconds, that was a long pit stop because it took him forever to get that car going and back up to speed.
Harry Hyde, the grand old master, one of them with the ether can in his pocket, or rather in his hand. Jack, you know, they stretched that one a little further than the first time. The first round of pit stops, Richmond went 67 laps. This time, he went just a little further than that, so maybe he too stretched it just a little too far.
So it's Harry Gandell and Dale Earnhardt running first and second as Tim Richmond has come in for the stop. That's Bobby Allison running right behind Earnhardt, and Allison passing Earnhardt as they go down the backstretch.
Bobby Allison showing his oats here, 133 laps into the 328 lap race, goes to the inside of Dale Earnhardt, and Bobby Allison moves ever so closer to the front.
Let's go down to Jack once again.
What we just saw, we see so many times when a crew chief and a driver elect to run the car out of fuel. What happens is the engine literally starves itself to death. That's why you have to use the starting fluid to get it started. But here's what happens. You hear it fire, you think that it's really going, it's just the starter fluid. You begin to pull away, the fluid that travels elects the fuel hose back to the carburetor and into the car, and it costs you valuable, very, very precious time on pit road. Not really the best way to make a pit stop.
Really what it is fuel line freeze-up. You heard us talk about it with the pleasure guard on when it gets cold. It's basically the same thing happens here, as Jack explained. The fuel just hasn't worked its way from the tank through the lines and up to the engine.
Tim Richmond trying to move back up toward the front after that very, very lengthy pit stop. 135 laps have been completed now. The leader is Harry Gant. He is one of three, or rather two in the top 10 who have not made a pit stop recently. The other one being Buddy Baker, who was running in 10th position, has not come in. There's the view from inside Rick Wilson. Rick from the Kodak car, and Rick signaling to us.
It looked like Bobby was signaling to somebody going the high side. Yeah, here comes Earnhardt. Yeah, Rick had both of the other leaders go by on the inside, and he saw Dale coming up and said, Dale, you can go high, I'll move over for you.
You can see the NFL scores for this afternoon. Houston and Miami are scoreless in the first period. Atlanta has the advantage over New England. And number 64, Connie Saylor, has some smoke coming from that car, and he is on pit road. He also has a flat tire. There's Detroit leading Cincinnati 7-0. Of course, all the scores and highlights on SportsCenter tonight at 7:30 Eastern Time. Connie Saylor has a right front that has gone flat.
Oh, it has, too. Good old Elmo Langley's car, the Sunny King Ford Honda dealer who has supported Winston Cup racing for a number of years. Really a fine supporter of this sport of racing, and he's helped out a lot of the independents now for quite a few years. Mike Waltrip and Ellen Kowicki on both sides of Bobby Allison there as they go through turn number 2. The two people who are in it for the rookie championship. Waltrip there on the outside of the number 23. They're moving up on Buddy Baker, who also showed in the top 10 just briefly in this race. But right now, Allison looks like he has a good set of tires. They perhaps set that car up, the veteran that he is, for this warmer track conditions, the slightly looser track conditions that we anticipated, and he's having a good mid-race here. Bobby Allison, we'll see how it works for him. And Waltrip, by the way, Bob, seems to be running a little better than Kowicki.
And Harry Gann is on a lap by himself. He is the only car now that has not pitted recently. Buddy Baker has come in for his stop. So Harry Gann is all by himself as far as the lead is concerned. When he comes in for the stop, he will lose that lap and fall in with the others. But for the moment, Harry Gann has command of this Atlanta Journal 500 with 139 laps completed.
Harry would really like to see a yellow right now. He's probably got about a 10 more lap window that he can fit into.
Tires, very important to a race driver, and ESPN and NASCAR present a track fact.
Everyone knows just how important tires are to the outcome of a Winston Cup race. All the teams measure the outside circumference or the stagger to try and determine just the right set to put on the car. But teams also try to do a little code breaking as well. You see, there is a series of letters and numbers right here on each tire that tell you what day, what month, and what year and what individual built this specific tire. Now, the reason that you want to break the code is you want to find out if you had a good tire maybe this year or last year here at the race. Well, you want to get the same guy to build you another one.
And members of the Cale Yarborough crew are helping Connie Saylor reposition that car and get the tire changed. Back to more at the Atlanta Journal 500 in a moment.
What if all I do for my type 2 diabetes isn't enough? Or what if once weekly Mounjaro could help? Mounjaro helps your body regulate blood sugar and can help you eat less food. Plus, 3 out of 4 people reached an A1C of less than 7%. And people lost up to 25 pounds. Don't take Mounjaro if you're allergic to it, or if you or someone in your family had medullary thyroid cancer or multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2. Stop and call your doctor right away if you have an allergic reaction, a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, or vision changes. Serious side effects may include inflamed pancreas and gallbladder problems. Taking Mounjaro with sulfonylurea or insulin may cause low blood sugar. Tell your doctor if you're nursing, pregnant, plan to be, or taking birth control pills, and before scheduled procedures with anesthesia. Side effects include nausea, diarrhea, and vomiting, which can cause dehydration and may worsen kidney problems.
I can do diabetes differently with Mounjaro.
Pay as little as $25 per month. Ask your doctor about Mounjaro.
Welcome to Take 5 Oil Change.
How long does this take?
Give us 10 minutes, we'll get you on your way.
10 minutes? Get out. That's fast. Like an F1 pit stop. Head to Take 5 Oil Change and go see the movie F1, only in theaters June 27th.
Each week, discover the stories, the races, and the people that made the 21 legendary.
Oh my goodness.
It's going to be a photo finish. It's Wood Brothers Wednesday, all summer, only on the NASCAR channel.
At the Atlanta Journal 500, it is Harry Gann holding on to the lead. Dale Earnhardt, Benny Parsons, Tim Richmond, and Terry Labonte are all lapped down. Now Harry is going to go on to the same lap as the others because this is his pit stop.
Oh, look at his pit stop.
Run the pit stop sequence just out of order because he pitted during that first caution. They go to the right side. Now they're thinking on right side tires, but they're actually going to
Whoa.
take left side tires.
Look at that. Come on, get it, go. Let's go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 pumps. Changer puts his own tire on. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good job. Good pit stop. 26.2 seconds. Yeesh.
So Harry Gant is going to fall in behind him, but it's only going to be about a half a straightaway advantage.